skip it up and that up.
Out of my way! Out of my way! Can't you see he's gonna kick my butt? Hi there, young people. Nice day today.
So, you like kicking butts, do ya? Well, we'll show you, old man! There he is! Go get him!
The fourth dungeon slash palace of the two games is represented by Futaba's Tomb on Persona 5 and Mitsuo's Gaming Fantasy on Persona 4. He's a fucking nerd. Anyway, let's start this whole thing off with the song that represents the tomb, When Mother Was There. For one, the song definitely fits the vibe of the palace. It sounds like a song that would be played in a tomb desert setting. The title reflects on Futaba's loss of her mother, which is why the tomb in itself exists. There really isn't much to complain about. Well, maybe there's a few things, like how the song is mid at best. That's not to say that it isn't good, but compared to the rest of the Persona 5 OST, it stands pretty far down the list as one of the songs that is kind of just there. In all fairness, however, that reputation does come from the tomb being such a dry, no pun intended, part of the game. Futaba's Tomb is definitely one of the worst palaces in Persona 5, standing probably in front of Okumura's palace, but definitely behind Kamoshida's palace. That's not to say that it's absolute garbage. Oh, no, that's actually exactly what I'm saying. It's absolute garbage. And the song definitely isn't spared from the sins of its brethren. Honestly, I always breeze through this palace just because I don't want to be there for a long time, and the music does not make it any better. But of course, like any other Persona 4 palace so far, I have no faith in Mitsuo's gaming dungeon. But you know what? I mean, it wouldn't hurt to listen to it for a little bit at least, right? I mean, be that bad. Okay, I mean, it's not bad. Not great, it's just 8-bit, right? 8-bit, you know? No. It can't get any better than this. I mean, it's It's still 8-bit though. I mean, it's like a Mario soundtrack, for God's sake. It can't get better. Are we even going to question why this is arguably the best song on the Persona 4 soundtrack? First of all, it's an 8-bit synth turned orchestral masterpiece. I have never in my entire life heard of such a thing until now, and boy, am I interested to hear more of it. It's honestly a trip because of how terrible the first 3 dungeons were, and then boom, in comes game. The difference between it and a song like Theater or Castle, it's just so fucking weird, but in a good way. I'll simplify When Mother Was There into one phrase, basically. If your music vibes with a shitty palace, then your music is shitty. This point goes to Persona 4.
Evacuate the customers. You call the Navy.
Hello, operator? Get me the Navy.
Hello. You've reached the Navy's automated phone service.
Squidward! The robots are running the Navy!
Do I even have to do this part? Okumura's space station is hot garbage, and referring back to my phrase from a few minutes ago, if your music vibes with a shitty palace, say it with me, y'all. Your music is shitty. Plus, Naoto's secret base, along with its theme secret base, is really good. And a lot like Kanashiro's Bank, it's extremely underappreciated in its worth. Persona 4 makes the comeback and ties the score, as this point goes to Persona 4.
poor thing. By the way, you forgot your briefcase.
Oh, so this is the thanks I get for working overtime.
Okay, so I've had a lot of trouble with this part of the video, honestly, for a few reasons. The first being that Whims of Fate from Size Casino is arguably the flagship song of the Persona 5 OST. And I mean, you could tell that Atlus worked extremely well on this song because of the effect it has in-game. And really as a song in general. I remember playing this thing and getting goosebumps on it. But on the other hand, there's Heaven from, well, Heaven, and that's the second best track on Persona 4, right behind Game. So yeah, I honestly initially couldn't decide between the two because they kind of hold the exact same position as tracks on Persona OSTs. What I mean is that both songs hold the same effect. You know for a fact that they just put as much effort into Whims of Fate as they did into Heaven. Unlike the battle music, however, I'm going to pick a winner because while the competition is fierce, I think we all know who wins this round. But let's talk a little bit about the two tracks before we pick a winner, starting with Heaven. Heaven is kind of weird, but like in a good way. It has a really nice intro to it, which is what brought it to my attention. It was the hook that got me into the game and into, not the game, but the song. And it's why I actually listened to it for the first time when the soundtracks came out on Spotify and Apple Music. It has a really nice chorus too. If you get to listen to it that far without being in game, it really does have a nice chorus. And, you know, I mean, the whole song just sounds amazing. It fits perfectly with the theme of Heaven in Persona 4 with the kind of mystical... It's hard to explain. It's a lot like Pursuing My True Self. It fits so well with that theme of Heaven in Persona 4. And I think everyone would agree that it's a top 3 Persona 4 song. At the very minimum. And some would probably even say that it's at the top of that list. But as much as I think Heaven deserves a second or third place trophy, Whims of Fate deserves a goddamn Tour de France first place trophy and some bitches, because this song is not a bop, it's a lifestyle. Whims of Fate is probably the only song in any Persona soundtrack that gives Mass Destruction a run for its money, besides Last Surprise, of course. It truly is the only reason people remember Size Casino, even though that's the best palace Persona 5 has to offer. Even Royal can't top it. The vibe makes you feel indestructible and ready to take a risk, something casinos usually want you to feel in order to spend more money. The singing is absolutely phenomenal, especially in the chorus, where one of the lines is literally "give into temptations," which is just perfect for a casino as well. The melody behind it and corresponding beat is exceptional, with the background voice doing the whole damn song a huge service. I mean, genuinely, this was amazing. Heaven and Game had played big roles in getting fans hooked into playing Persona 4 and into completing the story, because the first 3 palaces fucking bombed. Whims of Fate, on the other hand, didn't need to get carried. In fact, they just did what they do best, and they just did not care what anyone thought. To a certain extent, I feel bad for Heaven. The song was really good, and if it had gone up against something like Okumura's Space Station theme or Madarame's Museum theme, it would have won by a long shot, but not everything's fair in life, kids. Remember that. This point goes to Persona 5.
Can you take hats in a dignified and sophisticated manner?
You mean like a weenie? Okay. May I take your hat, sir? May I take your hat, sir?
We have now reached the near-ending palaces of the two games, the 7th palace / dungeon. And boy, are these two palaces extremely different, along with their songs. On one hand, you have the ever-amazing, dynamic, and interesting choice of an expensive cruise ship, along with its song, Arc. Real fitting. And on the other hand, you have Magatsu Inaba, or Shadow Inaba, for those who've never played JRPG games in their entire life, with its theme, Long Way, which I'm assuming is kind of like a reference to Long Way from Home, as in like you're technically in Inaba, but really, you know you're not in Inaba. Like, you know you're not in Inaba, right? So, yeah, it's a fucking trip. I think we can all agree on who's going to win this round. That's not to say that Long Way is bad or anything, it's actually great. It sounds a lot like the first 3 Disasters, but it's organized well, and the vibe it gives off fits perfectly with a twisted, dark version of Inaba. Honestly, Long Way gives Ark a run for its money, in my opinion. The setting and its chemistry make running through Magatsu Inaba a damn near chore that you just want to get through, not because it's bad, like with Futaba's Tomb, but it's scary. A lot like with the Midnight Channel theme, you just want to go to the next scene because of how eerie Who's There truly is. It gives you goosebumps. Long Way does the same thing, just to a more organized extent. The song preceding Shadow Inaba, you know, the one where there's the endless fog, Omen, does the same thing as well. All 3 of these tracks were made for a specific purpose, to give you an uneasy feeling with every step you take and every choice you make. And then there's Ark. Ark, which is the theme for Shido's ship, that's not gonna get messy anytime soon, and it's very fitting to the palace, and to my pleasure, there's only one version of the song, which saves me a headache. The song itself isn't all that bad. In fact, it's really not bad at all. It's actually one of the best palace themes in the game, obviously right behind Whims of Fate, and the cruise ship is just absolutely amazing. It's a really good palace. And frankly, they just run together really well in game. Okay, now I'm having a bit of a tug-of-war in my brain. Ark is a great song with a good connection to Shido's ship, but if this makes any sense, its connection is not as great as some of the other palace themes that came before it. Put Whims of Fate to the side, and I would argue that Futaba's Tomb and When Mother Was There, Kanashiro's Bank, and Price, hell, even Okumura's Space Station and Sweatshop fit better with their respective palaces than Ark does with Shido's ship. That's not to say it doesn't fit at all, it's just odd every now and again. The singular part I believe where it fits the best with the cruise ship is when you're in the dining area where the first letter of recommendation is. The feeling of upper seniority really kicks in, and that damn diner-rich kick, oh man, it gets it, and it's perfect. Long Way, on the other hand, it's just befitting. I mean, it just is. I actually said this in previous videos, that the Persona 4 soundtrack was specifically made for the game. There are many songs on that OST that you wouldn't play on Spotify or Apple Music because it doesn't sound good. So like, you know, if that really makes any sense. Rather, those tracks, for example, were made to give you an opposite emotional effect, to put you on edge, to put you in fear, to get you in a specific mood that probably wouldn't work from some, you know, song like New Days or Youthful Lunch. And as I've said before, songs like Omen and Who's There, they accomplish that. Persona 5, however, was made for Spotify and Apple Music. There's maybe one song on that soundtrack that most fans won't play, and that's pretty much it. Even the tension-building songs that you usually listen to in-game, they most likely aren't going to be real tension builders. They're just kind of good to listen to, if that makes any sense. Long Way isn't great to listen to as a standalone song, but its effect in-game is priceless. Whereas Ark sounds great as a standalone, but with a subpar effect on the player in-game. I'm gonna take a risk and give this point to Persona 4, and here's why. My 2 areas of criteria when I make these videos is number 1, how does it sound? And number 2, what does it do for the game? The latter being more important in my eyes since that's what it was made for. You can manually pick up your phone, download Spotify, and play the soundtracks from there at any time you want, but they do not change in-game. You can't choose to listen to them, they're just there, unless you turn off the music, you sick bastard. They're there until you finish that section of the game. So it matters more to me the effect it has on the player. And some of you may say, well, what about heaven? You didn't give a point to them, but that has the same effect that Long Way has. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Heaven does have the same effect. But to say that it has a better effect on the player than Whims of Fate is just ridiculous. And anyone who says that deserves jail time, honestly. This point goes to Persona 4.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to part 3 of this series. I think we're probably going to have 4 or 5 parts. I don't really know for certain yet. We'll get there. I'm loving every second of it, though, and I wholeheartedly appreciate all the support that I have been given from you guys. Recently, we hit 180 subscribers on the platform, so thank you guys for that. 180 of you actually like my content, which is like, what? That doesn't make any sense, but awesome. To celebrate, I've decided to do a subscriber stream on Friday at 6 p.m. instead of the usual Saturday and Sunday. So stay tuned for that. I will let you know more on the Discord, so make sure you join the Discord. Follow all my social medias, all links in the description down, all social links in the link in the description down below. And make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.